Honest reflection, but in totality, Monica, we don't often get to hear Caitlin Clark's perspective in quite this level of honesty. And this is an important conversation to continue to have with empathy for everybody involved. So listening to that, what was your reaction?
I thought the choice, the word of being fearful of the conversation after a game that she alluded to was interesting, because oftentimes it seems, at least in the larger discourse, and not that there's not an emotional experience for Caitlin Clark, because I believe that it is, but it's the folks that are accused of doing something outside of the parameters of competition that are actually the ones that are fearful when you look at their social medias. This is what I will say. Caitlin Clark is 24. She is a shining star in the galaxy of the WNBA. But I do think as she continues to matriculate through this league, there's room for a little bit more accountability and self-awareness in terms of her role in the larger sisterhood, if she sees it that way, in the WNBA. But Malika, I agree with her 100%. It is certainly exhausting for all of us who really want to celebrate where this league is and the beautiful basketball that is being played. This larger discourse that can be very disappointing.
Yeah, and I think that we all have a responsibility in seeing where we fit in that discourse, and what we are working to do on this show is focus in right there on the game that we all love so very much, and that's what we're going to do.
Monica McNutt, Caitlin Clark was directly in your face Saturday night. Sunday, you criticized her. Not even 24 hours later,
Monica McNutt was just steps away from Caitlin Clark during Saturday night's All-Star Weekend festivities in Chicago. With a microphone in hand and direct access to Clark, she had every chance to share her thoughts face-to-face while they were in the same arena. Instead, she chose to wait until Sunday, appearing on ESPN's Women's Sports Sunday, where she told a national audience that Clark should show greater accountability and more self-awareness regarding her place within the WNBA's broader sisterhood. McNutt said she believed Clark's choice of words, particularly her use of the term fearful, deserved closer examination.
After a game that she alluded to was interesting, because oftentimes it seems, at least in the larger discourse, and not that there's not an emotional experience for Caitlin Clark, because I believe that it is, but it's the folks that are accused of doing something outside of the parameters of competition that are actually the ones that are fearful when you look at their social medias. This is what I will say. Caitlin Clark is 24. She is a shining star in the galaxy of the WNBA. But I do think as she continues to matriculate through this league, there's room for a little bit more accountability and self-awareness in terms of her role in the larger sisterhood, if she sees
represented. And again, some of this to me probably is not fair to her, because it was not anything that she said or was truly based on her personality, but she was a white girl from the middle of America. And so she represented a whole lot to a lot of people, whether that is truly what she prescribed to or not. We can all say she is a dynamic basketball player and a force both on the court and the market.
Media and journalism have a responsibility to tell the stories, and a lot of times, like, you guys are the ones controlling the narratives about what people read and what people talk about, and a lot of that is sometimes so far out of touch with what is reality, and that can be confusing to somebody that's 24 and trying to navigate life and trying to help her team win a championship to be. I think there's just like a false characterization of who I am sometimes, like, and I get it, like, as a reporter or as a blogger, like, you can write an opinion piece and that's your job and whatever, but at the same time, like, you don't know me. Like, we've never had a conversation. I get people have a job to do, but at the same time, like, don't make accusations about my character and who I am when you don't know me. I understand this is your job and this is your profession and this is what you get to do, and basketball is my profession and what I get to do, and the reason I play it is when I step in between the lines, I love it. And that's what's so fun about it for me, is like, I get to compete. This was always my dream, and nobody should ever try to take that away from me, like the love and the joy that I have for the game, and they haven't and they won't, because it's my goal to win, like win championships, and I know.
Fans immediately picked up on the timing, and it certainly didn't go unnoticed. This wasn't only about the message Monica McNutt delivered, it was also about the moment and platform she selected to deliver it. There's a clear distinction between offering thoughtful criticism directly during an event and waiting until afterward to air those comments on national television, long after the All-Star Weekend cameras had been turned off and everyone had left the venue. For many viewers, that decision raised just as many questions as the criticism itself.
I swear to God, y'all forgot to fire somebody. I swear to God, you forgot to fire somebody and lay them off. And that person is Monica McNutt. Just take the Mac off of it. Monica Nut. Because this lady, at every chance she gets, she wants to bring back the narrative of Caitlin Clark being, and defame her character, and all of a sudden she doesn't have self-awareness, and she needs to take accountability for what's going on in the league. I could have swore the other day that you just said that Caitlin Clark was not the face of the league, and it was Asia Wilson. So why Asia Wilson doesn't step up and take accountability and redirect what's going on in this league? Why it has to be on Caitlin Clark? Nobody cares. She's not the face of the league. She's not the face of the league, right? According to you. But now you want her to take accountability and self-awareness to the other players in the sisterhood of the WNBA. What sisterhood?
Monica McNutt's exact remarks are worth hearing because the context is important. She said, I do think as she continues to matriculate through this league, there's room for a little more accountability and self-awareness in terms of her role in the larger sisterhood, if she sees it that way in the WNBA. Although the statement was delivered with careful language, many people interpreted its central message the same way. To them, McNutt was suggesting that Caitlin Clark has not fully embraced her responsibility toward the rest of the league's players, and that it's up to Clark to become more aware of her influence and strengthen those relationships moving forward.
And they're the one that's causing everything that goes on around to the other players. The threats, the this, the that. It's Caitlin Clark fans. That's what she just did. That's the narrative you spew. That's the one you keep pushing. Caitlin Clark came out in her interview and she said, hey, guys, it's a lot of pressure on me that I have to figure out everything for everybody. Whatever I say, it gets taken another way. However I play, it gets taken another way. I'm not that person that y'all are trying to make me out to be. I just want to hoop. Let's keep it basketball. I want to play basketball. And every chance y'all get, even though y'all are saying that the media need to take more accountability and redirecting it to basketball, Monica McNutt for ESPN, the Nut, gets on there, and the first chance she gets.
Caitlin Clark never volunteered to become the face of the WNBA's so-called sisterhood. She entered the league to compete, help her team win, and establish herself as one of the game's top players. Whenever reporters have questioned her about off-court controversies, she has consistently redirected the focus back to basketball. That's why many people see it differently when someone with a national platform argues that Clark needs greater self-awareness about a responsibility she never chose to take on. From that perspective, it feels less like objective analysis and more like holding her accountable for expectations that were never officially placed on her in the first place.
People that follow the WNBA and try to promote the WNBA don't understand that Caitlin Clark's game resonates with us. I say this every day, and every day I got to deal with somebody else dumb in the media. Caitlin Clark's game resonates because she's got flair, she's got flash, she's got style. I said this before, and I'll say this again. We saw Sue Bird's game. We saw Diana Taurasi's game. Kim Mulkey was Sue Bird before Sue Bird became Sue Bird. We've seen it. We haven't seen Caitlin Clark. The folks that cover the NBA, these people that play in the NBA, these people that cover the NBA, I said these people, all of you, black, white, green, purple. Why don't you understand a very simple thing? Her game is dynamic. Like Diana Taurasi was like a jackass to Caitlin Clark. Why? Her game is what people are drawn to. And then you go to the personality. Her game is different than any WNBA.
What makes the criticism stand out even more is McNutt's use of the word matriculate, which made it sound as though Caitlin Clark is still going through an adjustment period or learning how the league works. But Clark arrived with an exceptional resume as a former National Player of the Year, an Olympic gold medalist, and one of the most influential rookies the WNBA has ever seen. She isn't a newcomer trying to find her footing. Many people believe she has already become one of the league's biggest driving forces, attracting record attention, boosting television ratings, and generating significant revenue. Yet she's still being told she hasn't adapted to the league's unwritten expectations and culture.
And Paige Beckers and Asia Wilson, the list goes on and on.
Yeah.
And yet so much of the discourse feels completely and totally unrelated to that. Do you feel that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of it is it's not always based in reality. I feel like media and journalism have a responsibility to tell the stories, and a lot of times you guys are the ones controlling the narratives about what people read and what people talk about, and a lot of that is sometimes so far out of touch with what is reality, and that can be confusing to somebody that's 24 and trying to navigate life and trying to...
Only 2 days before McNutt's comments aired, Caitlin Clark had already spoken openly about the constant attention surrounding her, and her response revealed exactly where her priorities are. In an interview with ESPN, She admitted that the nonstop coverage can be draining and said much of it isn't always rooted in reality. Clark also emphasized that the media has a responsibility to report stories accurately rather than fueling narratives that drift further from the facts. Her remarks reflected the perspective of a 24-year-old athlete who is calmly trying to make it clear, without criticizing anyone, that she doesn't see herself as the controversial figure some narratives portray. Her focus remains simple: play basketball, help her team succeed, and compete for a championship. That's all she has consistently said she wants to do.
She was one of the few players that was actually trying to, not rob the consumers of their hard-earned money that they paid to come watch them. And she was actually trying to put on a show. She was one of the few, because there was a couple others, that was really trying to put on a show. And, people like that.
On the court, Caitlin Clark has continued to let her game do the talking. She played a key role in helping Team Spoon defeat Team Coop 129-122 in one of the most exciting All-Star games.
See this hatred for Caitlin. I don't understand. Please explain it to me. Monica McNutt and her conversation. It's like whenever the lines start to get closer and closer, boom, people want to break them apart. Caitlin, I thought, had a great interview, and it was actually quite brave of her to say, I'm sometimes scared after a game because I don't know what you guys are going to ask me. Yeah. She doesn't know. Somebody else gets off the court, AB, anybody, they get asked about the game. Caitlin, anything can go. And did you hear that guy up there yelling for you? Did you hear this about, see that t-shirt? What do you think about that? I thought it was very brave of her to say that.
What has sparked the strongest reaction from many fans is the way the criticism was delivered. McNutt was at All-Star Weekend in Chicago, covering the event live as an ESPN analyst, interviewing players and reporting
adding that he didn't think it was fair to Clark or to Engelbert to turn one flagrant fairly different league starts publicly defending your player in your league.
Respectful, face-to-face conversation, something sports reporters have often done with athletes across different leagues. Instead, the comments came later on a national television broadcast. There's nothing wrong with analysts offering criticism. That's part of their job, and no one expects every opinion to be positive. However, some viewers believe that waiting until after the event to make those remarks made the segment feel less like constructive feedback and more like a discussion designed to attract attention by focusing on the biggest name in women's basketball. They also point to the imbalance of the situation. The television broadcast controls the platform, while Clark has no immediate
and called the way she'd been treated incredibly unfair.
For many fans,
he was careful with his words, quiet about any of this after the fact either. Asked directly about the Thomas situation.